Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another vintage quilt block for you. This one is called Homegrown, and this is one that does not go together in rows. You have to make this one in sections, and there, that's better. But it's a really pretty block, and we're using triangles as opposed to squares and the easy corner triangle method. I hope you'll give this block a try. Here are the fabrics that you're going to need to make the homegrown block. For A, you're going to need 1 4 3/4 inch square. For B, you'll need 1 7 1/4 inch square, and then you'll cut that on both diagonals to give 4 triangles. C is 2 3 7/8 inch squares, and you cut that on one diagonal to give you 4 triangles. For D, you need 4 2 5/8 inch squares. E is for 3 1/2 inch squares, and F is 2 4 1/4 inch squares, and you cut those on both diagonals to get 8 triangles. So this is another block that we're using a lot of triangles in, as opposed to a sew and flip method to make corners on our corner triangles on our pieces. So this one's going to go together a little bit differently. This is going to be your center, so you can use whatever fabric you want for that. Mine is just kind of plain. I don't have a focus fabric on this one. And then this is also a directional fabric, and this is a directional fabric. So I'm going to try and pay attention to that. And actually this is also directional. So I've got all of these that are directional. So I'm going to pay attention to that and see if I can arrange things the way I want. But if it doesn't work out, then I'll just make do. So anyway, I'm going to go to the sewing machine and get started sewing. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is to make side triangle units. So we need the D squares and the F triangles. And what we're going to do is to sew a triangle on adjacent sides to these squares. So now these squares are going to face like diamonds in the block, and you're going to have one at the top, one at the bottom, and one on each side. So if you have directional fabric like I do, you need to decide which way you want that to face. And so I'm just going to lay my pieces out so I've got them all going the right direction, and then I'm going to sew these triangles on. And what I want to do is just to line the triangle up in the corner. So I'm going to line up these two edges right here, and then sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to press it open and then sew on the other triangle. Okay, so I press towards my triangle, and then the next triangle is going to go on this side. So this is what we're going to have. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line up the right angles there. I'm going to go ahead and trim off this dog ear before I get to it. Okay, and here's what I have. Now I'm laying out all of these pieces to make sure that I sew them on correctly. So you might want to do that too. Just lay out your squares and your triangles, and that way you'll make sure you get them on the right sides. So I'm just going to keep going until I get all 4 of these units done. Okay, now we need to make some corner units. So we need our E squares and our C triangles, and we're going to make 4 of these. So The way these fit, they go right in the corners of your block. And I'm going to lay mine out because I do have this directional fabric, so I'm going to see if I can get these right. Like I want my hearts to be facing up. So this piece would go like this. So I just laid it in position where it would be in the block so I know which way I want to do this. Okay, so this is what I have, and this one's going to go in the upper left corner. And where this, it's going to wind up meeting this piece here, like that. Okay, now the upper right-hand corner is going to go horizontal. So I need to change my perspective of the triangle a little bit. Okay, this is the bottom right, and the bottom right faces this direction. And here's the bottom left here, and it's going to go horizontal. Okay, when you get to sewing these corner units here, all four of them are the same. You line everything up the same way. It doesn't matter what corner they go in. So if you don't have directional fabric, you can just, you know, chain piece these all together and not worry about anything. But since I have directional fabric, I wanted to make sure that I got all of the fabrics lining up to the same direction, and so I did these one at a time. So we have those done. So what we need to do is to sew the B triangles to each side of these corner triangles, which are the B and the E units, which is what we just finished. Now this is also a directional fabric, so I'm going to lay these out on my table here and get them in the right location, the right orientation, and then sew those together. Okay, I have all my pieces here that I've put together so far, and let me adjust them so we can see them a little bit better. There's my center. Okay. There we go. Okay, now for what I want to do is I want to sew these triangles on to these units here. And I want them all to be upright if I can get them that way. So this piece, okay, this piece can go here because the leaves in this is what's directional. The daisies themselves, you're all just seeing them flat. They're not tilted or anything, but the stems all go in the same direction. So I want those two pieces to go together. And then down here, I need this one. And over here, I think that one would work. And then over here would be this one. So now they should all be in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these, and then we'll continue sewing the block together. Now to sew these together, you're going to have a little extra hanging off of the corner square, but you'll need to match up the points down here, and then just sew those on. Okay, now I'm going to press towards the triangle because that's going to be the way it wants to go, because there's no seam on that triangle. Here's the unit that's completed. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that one back in place. And go to the next one. Okay, so I have all the pieces sewn together into units. So now I need to put this block together. And once again, this isn't going to be one you can sew by rows. You're going to have to sew it into sections. So we've got these two units here. And then our center piece is going to go to these. So I have dog ears I need to trim off. One thing I needed to decide was which way to put this center block. Since it has a direction like this, I can turn it so that everything is going in the same direction, or I could turn it so that it's in a different direction from the other two. And I think I'm going to go with everything being in the same direction. So I've got all of my hearts and my stripe and my floral pieces. I got all of those in the right orientation, and I didn't do any special when I cut, and I didn't do anything special when I cut those triangles out of squares. Just cutting them, following the directions, will give you what you need to keep all of your fabrics directional if that's what you're working with. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this center section together, and then I'll do the side sections, and then I will sew this all together to make the block. So what I did was I pressed these two seams out. I pressed the center unit seams in. So everything should nest, and there aren't any other seams that are going to meet up. So those center seams are the only ones I need to worry about. Okay, so here is the completed block. I think it turned out pretty well. It's a little bit rough on some of the edges, but I can trim those up and it'll work just fine. So this is the homegrown block. So this one goes together differently than most blocks do. We don't do it in rows. We're going to do this one in sections and using triangles as opposed to squares in a sew and flip method. So if you're using directional fabrics, I don't think it's really going to be a problem. Just cut your fabric according to the directions and then just arrange your pieces the way you want to. So you should have enough so that everything can be placed in an upward position or in the same position. Like I did here, all my stripes are the same direction. My hearts and my flowers are all in the same direction. So didn't do anything special with that other than turned a piece or switched them around however I needed to get them to the position that I wanted them in. So I hope you'll give this block a try. Okay, that is it for the homegrown block. I think it's a really pretty block, and I can see this being made in all different kinds of fabric. So I hope you'll give this one a try. It is a little bit challenging because it goes together in sections instead of rows, and you're sewing with triangles as opposed to squares and easy corner triangle method. But I think you followed the directions and watch this video. I think you can handle this one. So I hope you'll give it a try. So if you like this video, please click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.